Everybody, welcome Dr. Seeger, Professor Seeger, PhD, the CEO of Morosco Forge Cold Plunge, and we have him on the podcast today because it's an amazing modality to really up level your health and wellness. Welcome, Doc.
Hey, thanks for having me here.
Awesome. How did you real quick, I know I read your book, Uncommon Cold. Everybody should read it. It's a great book. It's an easy read. It's a fun read. Like I was telling you before, you're quite entertaining. You give Seinfeld a run for his money.
No, but thank you, Robert. I gave a copy of Uncommon Cold to Jay Bhattacharya. This was before the election, before he became the director of the National Institutes for Health. And we're friends because we were both faculty opposed to the lockdown. And he picks it up. He doesn't do ice baths at all. He's not even interested. But he thumbs through it like this. He goes, Tom, there are too many scientific footnotes in here. It'll never sell. Nobody wants to read your journal citations. I'm like, Jay, that's too bad. I'm a professor and I'm going to stay that way. There's something like 600 different citations in Uncommon Cold. And people still ask me sometimes, if there's enough science on it.
Yeah, that I will vouch for you. It's not like reading a dry paper, a scientific paper. It's a good read. You got a lot of good stories in it. Talks about your history. You had a scare with some elevated, very highly elevated PSA, and you went and did this. You went and cold plunge and cold plunge and cold plunge. What cold plunge were you doing before? Like, did you just have one, or what
Bought
did you
a
do? Use it?
chest freezer. Before Sears went bankrupt for the fourth time or something, the Kenmore appliances, they have a pretty good reputation. And so I went on to Sears and I bought this big old Kenmore chest freezer. This is maybe 10 years ago, not even, but it's getting up there. And it was really just because I was interested in doing it every day. I did not want to go to the Quickie Mart and get like 300 pounds of ice and then pour it in a horse trough and then watch it all melt because it's 115 degrees, in the backyard in Phoenix. So I thought, all right, I've seen this. Some guys are doing it on YouTube. I'll give it a shot. The problem is, it never really works the way you want it to work. It'll leak and then it'll stop leaking, and you feel like a side of venison when you get in there. But as an experiment, it wasn't a bad thing. Well, my former student was like, look, we're engineers. Why don't we just build one? And that seemed like a pretty reasonable challenge. If I could have bought an ice bath that made ice in like 2017, there would be no Morosco Forge. I just would have been a customer and not an inventor. And I would have been a lot better off financially. But we built this prototype. It cost me $25,000, in parts and wood and stuff like that. And we had a party and we invited friends over and we took pictures of one another. And somebody said, well, I'd like to buy one. And we thought, okay, this was fun. We'll make one. So I got rid of that chest freezer as we got more inventive. I got Morosco number 2 on my balcony, and I got into that thing every damn day. And it wasn't because I was trying to recover from my workout or my knees hurt from my run or something like that. I'm a fat, sedentary college professor. I don't do any of that gym bro Huberman stuff. But I had that PSA report and it was 7. And anything over 4 is considered an elevated risk of prostate cancer. When I talked with other men about, what did they do? Did they ever have a PSA test? And, did they have the exam? And did they have the biopsy? The stories were terrible. Every man who had a biopsy told me it was the worst pain he'd ever experienced. And one of my best friends said he'd had his prostate removed. He'll never have an erection again. And I'm like, when did that happen? He goes, well, that was 2 years ago. And you didn't even tell me. It's like men don't talk enough about this. He was going through this huge thing and I never even knew. I said, there's no way. First of all, I'm not telling anybody but other men. I am not telling my kids.